Good night, Mrs.
Good
Madden.
night,
Night.
Mrs. Madden.
I can't abide that woman.
No, there's something queer about her.
Still and all, I come nearer to liking her now than I ever did before when I see how broken down she is over her husband's death.
Yes, Dr. Blake says she will have herself in bed sick if she doesn't look out.
I'd never have suspected she had that much feeling, and queer the difference in her and Lavinia. Lavinia's as cold and calm as an icicle.
Yes, she doesn't seem to feel as much sorrow as she ought.
That's where you're wrong. She feels it as much as her mother does, only she's too mannin to let anyone see.
Where did she disappear to all of a sudden?
She went to the train with Peter Niles to meet Orin. I overheard her mother insisting Peter should escort her to meet the train. Lavinia must have been starting to go alone. Her mother seemed real angry about it.
Well, I don't know about that, Josiah.
Whatever are those men gossiping about? Josiah, it's time we were getting home.
I'm coming, Emma. Of course it isn't for me to question the arrangement she's made, Joe. But it does seem as if Ezra should have been laid out in the town hall.
It's my opinion. He was mayor and a national war hero.
She says it was Ezra's wish that everything should be private and quiet. That's just like Ezra. He never was one for show.
He was a great man. His death will be a real loss to everyone in this community. He was a power for good.
I couldn't believe the news. Who'd ever suspect? It's queer. It's like fate.
Maybe it is fate. You remember, Everett, you've always said about the Mannings that pride goeth before a fall, and that someday God would humble them in their sinful pride.
I don't remember ever saying
If
anything
you'll
like
excuse me, that's damn nonsense. I've known Ezra Manning all my life, and to those he wanted to know, he was as plain and simple
Of course,
as...
Doctor, my wife entirely misunderstood me. I was, perhaps wrongly, referring to Mrs. Manning.
She's all right, too, when you get to know her.
I have no doubt.
And it's a poor time when this house is afflicted by sudden
You're
death.
quite
to
right,
be-
Doctor. My wife should have
I
remembered
didn't
that...
mean anything wrong, Doctor.
Let's forget it then. As for you saying who'd ever suspect it, well, you and Emma know I expected Ezra wouldn't last long.
Yes, I remember you said you were afraid his heart was bad.
I remember you did, too.
From the symptoms Mrs. Manning described from his letter to her, I was certain he had angina, and I wasn't surprised neither. I'd often told Ezra he was attempting more than one man could handle. As for his dying the first night home, well, angina's no respecter of time and place. It strikes when it has a mind to.
Too bad. Too darn bad. This town won't find another as able as Ezra in a hurry.
Well, we aren't doing anyone any good standing here. We ought to get home, Josiah.
Yes, we must too, Everett.
Josiah,
Yeah?
I'll tell you a secret, strictly between you and I. What is it, Joe? I haven't asked Christine Manning any embarrassing questions, but I have a strong suspicion it was love killed Ezra.
Love?
She's a damned handsome woman, and he'd been away a long time. Only natural between man and wife, but not exactly the treatment I'd recommend for angina. He should have known better, but, well, he was human.
Can't say as I blame him. She's a looker. I don't like her, never did. But I can think of worse ways of dying. Well, let's catch up with the folks.
So here you are. I couldn't stay in. All these people coming to stand around and stare at the dead. And at me.
I know, but there won't be any more now. Peter and Vinny ought to be back soon if the train isn't late. Oh, I hope Orin will come.
It was late that night he came. Only 2 days ago.
Try not to think of it.
As if I hadn't tried. But my brain keeps on over and over and over.
I'm so afraid you'll make yourself sick.
There, I'm all right. I mustn't appear too old and haggard when Orin comes, must I? He always liked me to be pretty.
It will be so good to see him again.
Yes. He used to be my baby, you know. Before he left me. You love Orin, don't you? I am glad. I want you to. I want him to marry you. We'll be secret conspirators, shall we?
I don't understand.
You know how possessive Vinny is with Orin. I warn you, she'll do anything she can to keep him from marrying you.
Oh, Mrs. Madden,
So you
I
must
can't
help
believe-
me. We mustn't let Orin come under her influence again. Especially now, in the morbid state of grief she's in. Haven't you noticed how queer she's become? She hasn't spoken a single word since her father's death. When I talk to her, she won't answer me. And yet she follows me around everywhere. It gets on my nerves until I could scream.
Poor Vinny, she was so fond of her father. I don't wonder she's acting.
You are genuinely good. and pure of heart, aren't you?
Oh, no, I'm
I
not at
was
all.
like you once, long ago. If I could only have stayed as I was then. Why can't all of us remain innocent and loving and trusting? But God won't leave us alone. He twists and wrings and tortures our lives with others' lives until we poison each other to death. Don't mind what I said. Let's go in. I would rather wait for Orin inside. I couldn't bear to wait and watch him coming up the drive, just like... He looks so like his father at times, and like... Oh, what nonsense I'm talking. Let's go in. I hate moonlight. It makes everything so haunted.
Where's Mother? I thought she'd surely be waiting for me. God, how I dreamed of coming home. I thought it would never end, that we'd go on murdering and being murdered till no one was left alive. Home at last. But the house looked strange. Did it always look so ghostly and dead?
That's only the moonlight, you chump.
Like a tomb, that's what Mother used to say.
It is a tomb. Just now, Orin.
I'd forgotten. I simply can't realize he's dead yet. I suppose I'd come to expect he'd live forever. Or at least outlive me. I never thought his heart was weak. He told me the trouble he had wasn't serious.
Father told you that, too. I was hoping he had. You go ahead in, Peter. I want to speak with Orin a moment.
Sure thing, Vinny.
I'm glad you got rid of him. Well, Peter's all right, but I want to talk to you alone. You certainly are a sight for sore eyes, Vinny. Aren't you glad to see me?
Of course I am.
I'd never guess it. You've hardly spoken a word since you met me. What's happened to you? I told you I can't get used to the idea of his being dead. Forgive me, Vinny. I know what a shock it must be to you.
Isn't it a shock to you, Orin?
Well, certainly. What do you think I am? But... Oh, I can't explain. You wouldn't understand unless you'd been at the front. I hardened myself to expect my own death and everyone else's. I had to keep alive. As part of my training as a soldier. He taught it to me, you might say, so when it's his turn, he can
Orin,
hardly
how
expect...
can you be so unfeeling?
God damn it, Vinny, give me a chance to
Orin.
get used to things. I'm sorry. Oh, I know what you're thinking. I used to be so nice and gentlemanly, didn't I? And now? Well, you wanted me to be a hero in blue, so you'd better be resigned. Murdering doesn't improve one's manners. What the devil are we talking about me for? Listen, there's something I want to ask you before I see Mother.
Hurry then, she'll be coming right out. I've got to tell you something, too.
What was this stuff you wrote me about? Some Captain Brandt coming to see Mother? My God, if he dares come here again, I'll make him damn sorry he did.
I'm glad you feel that way about him. There's no time to talk now. All I want to do is warn you to be on your guard. Don't let her baby you the way she used to and get you under her thumb again, and don't believe the lies she'll tell you. Wait until you've talked to me. Will you promise me?
You mean Mother? What the hell are you talking about anyway? Honestly, Vinny, I call that carrying your everlasting squabble with Mother a bit too far. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Now, what are you being so mysterious about? Is it Brent?
Why didn't you call me, Peter? You shouldn't have left him alone. Orin.
Mother?
Oh, my boy, my baby.
Mother? God, it's good to see you. But you're different.
Different? I don't think so, dear. Certainly, I hope not to you. Your poor head, how you must have suffered. But that's all over now. Thank God I've got you back again. Let's go in. There's someone else waiting who'll be glad to see you.
Remember, Orin.
Come on in, dear. It's chilly. Your poor head. Vinny, I want to speak with you a moment. Now Orin is here. I appreciate your grief has made you not quite normal, and I make allowances. But I cannot understand your attitude towards me. Why do you keep following me everywhere? And stare at me like that? I have been a good wife to him for 23 years until I met Adam. I was guilty then, I admit. But I repented and put him out of my life. After all, Vinnie, I am your mother. I brought you into the world. You ought to have some feeling for me. Don't stare like that. What are you thinking? Surely you can't still have that insane suspicion that I... What did you do that night after I fainted? I've missed something, some medicine I take to make me sleep. Oh, you did. You found. And I suppose you connect that. But don't you see how insane to suspect when Dr. Blake knows he died? Oh, I know what you've been waiting for. To tell Orin your lies and get him to go to the police. You don't dare do that on your own responsibility. But if you can make Orin, isn't that it? Isn't that what you've been planning the last 2 days? Tell me! Answer me when I speak to you! What are you plotting? What are you going to do? Tell me!
Mother? Where are you?
Here I am, dear.
Mother? Where are you?
Where can she have gone? She's worked herself into such a state of grief, I don't think she knows what she's doing.
Vinny's completely knocked out, too.
And poor Orin. What a terrible homecoming this is for him. How sick and changed he looks, doesn't he, Peter?
Head wounds are no joke. He's darn lucky they will come out alive.
Why did you sneak away like that? What were you doing?
The happiness of seeing you again was a little too much for me, I'm afraid, dear. I suddenly felt as if I were going to faint, so I rushed out into the fresh air.
Poor Mother. Maybe you better go right to bed.
Fiddlesticks, having you again is just the medicine I need to give me strength. Well, you listen to him, Hazel. You'd think I was the invalid, not he.
Yes. You've got to take care of yourself, too, Orin.
Oh, I'm all right.
We'll play nurses, Hazel and I, and have you your old self again before you know it, won't we, Hazel?
Of course we will.
Don't stand, dear. You must be worn out. Wait, we'll make you comfortable. Hazel, will you bring me a cushion?
How's this for the comforts of home, Peter? The front was never like this, huh?
Not so you'd notice it.
Peter will be getting jealous. You'd better call Vinny in to put a pillow behind him.
I can't picture Vinny being that soft.
She can be soft on occasion. She's always coddling Father, and he likes it, even though he
Orin, you're
pretends.
talking as if he were alive.
We'd all forgotten he's dead, hadn't we? Well, I can't believe it even yet. I feel him in this house, alive.
Orin.
Everything has changed in some queer way. This house, Vinny, you and I. Everything but Father. He's the same and always will be. Here, the same. Don't you feel that, Mother?
You mustn't make your mother think of it, Orin.
You're the same, Hazel. Sweet and good. At least Hazel hasn't changed, thank God.
Hazel will never change, I hope. I'm glad you appreciate her. Wasn't the long train trip terribly hard on you, dear?
Well, it wasn't a pleasure trip, exactly. My head got aching till I thought it would explode.
Poor boy. There's a pain now?
Not much. Not at all when your hand is there. Gosh, Mother, it feels so darn good to be home with you. Let me have a good look at you. You're so different. I noticed it even outside. What is it?
It's just that I'm getting old, I'm afraid, dear.
No, you're more beautiful than ever. You're younger, too, somehow. But it isn't that. Maybe I can guess.
Younger and more beautiful. Do you hear him going on, Hazel? He's learned to be very gallant, I must say.
You remember how you waved your handkerchief, Hazel, the day I set off to become a hero? I thought you'd sprain your wrist. And all the mothers and wives and sisters and girls did the same. Someday in some war they ought to make the women take the men's places for a month or so, give them a taste of murder.
Oh.
Let them batter each other's brains out with rifle butts and rip each other's guts out with bayonets. After that, maybe they'd stop waving handkerchiefs and gabbing about heroes.
It's over, Orin. Give yourself a chance to forget it. None of us liked it any more than you did.
You're right, Peter. I'm a damned whining fool. I'm sorry, Hazel.
It was nothing, Orin. I understand how you feel, really I do.
I let off steam when I shouldn't. You still sing, Hazel? I used to hear you singing down there. It made me feel life might still be alive somewhere. That, my dreams of Mother, and the memory of Vinny bossing me around like a drill sergeant. I used to hear you singing at the queerest times. It would rise above the screams of the dying.
I wish you wouldn't talk of death.
Orin, come and see Father.
Yes, sir. What the devil? You sounded just like him. Don't do that again, for heaven's sake. I meant to look at him first thing, but I got talking. I'll go in now.
No, wait. Can't you let your brother have a minute to rest? You can see how worn out he is. I've hardly had a chance to say a word to you yet. It's been so long. Stay with me a little while, won't you?
Of course, Mother. You come before everything.
Very well. Only remember what I said, Orin.
Vinny, where are you going?
You'll come in a little while, won't you?
Peter, we really must be getting home.
Yes.
It was so kind of you to come.
You must rest all you can now, Orin. And try not to think about things.
You're darn kind, Hazel. It's good to see you again. The same as ever.
I'm glad, too. Good night, Orin.
Good night. Rest up and take it easy.
Good night, Peter. Thanks for meeting me.
I'm afraid this isn't a very cheerful house to visit just now, but please come soon again. You will do Orin more good than anyone, Hazel.
What's made you take such a fancy to Hazel all of a sudden? You never used to think much of her.
I was selfish then. I was jealous, too, I'll admit. But all I want now is your happiness, dear. I know how much you used to like Hazel.
That was only to make... But now I'm not home an hour before you're trying to marry me off. You must be damned anxious to get rid of me. Why?
You mustn't talk like that. If you knew how horribly lonely I've been without you.
So lonely you've written me exactly 2 letters in the last 6 months.
But I wrote you much more. They must have been lost.
I received all of Hazel's letters. And Vinny's. It's funny yours should be the only ones to get lost. Who is this Captain Brandt who's been calling on you?
On me? You mean on Vinny, don't you? Wherever did you get that silly idea? Oh, of course, I know. Vinny must have written you the same nonsense she did your father.
She wrote him? What did he do?
Well, he laughed at it, naturally. Your father was very fond of Vinny, but he knew how jealous she's always been of me. And...
Oh, come on now, Mother. Just because you're always getting on each other's nerves, it doesn't mean...
Oh, doesn't
Vinny
it, though? I'll think you discovered that there isn't anything your sister will stop at, that she'll even accuse me of the vilest, most horrible
Mother...
things. I mean it, Orin. I wouldn't say it to anyone but you. You know that. But we've always been so close, you and I. I feel you are really my flesh and blood. She isn't. She's your father's. You're a part of me.
Yes, I feel that too, Mother.
I know I can trust you to understand now, as you always used to. We had a secret little world of our own in the old days, didn't we? Which no one but us knew about.
You bet we did. No Mannons allowed was our password, remember?
And that's what your father and Vinny could never forgive us. But we'll make that little world of our own again, won't we?
Yes.
I want to make up to you for all the injustice you suffered at your father's hands. It may seem a hard thing to say about the dead, but he was jealous of you. He hated you because he knew I loved you better than anything in the world.
Do you, Mother? Do you honestly? Then I'll tell you the truth. I won't pretend to you I'm sorry he's dead.
Yes, I'm glad, too, that he's left us alone. Oh, how happy we'll be together, you and I. If only you won't let Vinny poison your mind against me with her disgusting lies.
What lies? You haven't told me about that Brandt yet.
There's nothing to tell, except in Vinny's morbid, revengeful mind. Oh, Orin, you can't realize how she's changed while you've been away. And now with the shock of your father's death on top of everything, I'm convinced she's actually insane. Haven't you noticed how queerly she acts? You must have.
She seems strange.
And her craziness all works out in hatred for me. Take this Captain Brand affair, for example.
Ah.
A ship captain I happened to meet at your grandfather's, who took it into his silly head to call here a few times without being asked. Vinny thought he was coming to court her. I honestly believe she fell in love with him, Orin. But she soon discovered he wasn't after her at all.
Who was he after? You?
Orin, I'd be very angry with you if it wasn't so ridiculous. You don't seem to realize. I'm an old married woman with 2 grown-up children. No, all he was after was to insinuate himself as a family friend and use your father to get him another ship. I soon saw through his scheme, and he'll never call here again, I promise you that. And that's the whole of the great Captain Brand scandal. Are you satisfied now, you jealous goose, you?
I'm a fool. The war's got me silly, I guess. If you only knew all the hell I've been through.
It was Vinny's fault you ever went to war. I'll never forgive her for that. But I was going to give you an example of her insane suspicions. Would you believe it that she's worked it all out? That because his name is Brand, he must be the son of that nurse girl, Marie Brantome? Isn't that crazy? And to imagine if he were, he'd ever come here to visit. But I haven't told you. Vinny actually accuses me, your mother, of being in love with that fool and of having met him in New York and gone to his room.
I don't believe it. Vinny
I told you she'd gone crazy. She even followed me to New York when I went to see your sick grandfather to spy on me. She saw me meet a man, and immediately, to her crazy brain, the man was Brandt. Oh, it's too revolting, Orin.
Good God, did she tell Father that? Who was this man you met in New York?
It was Mr. Lamar, your grandfather's old friend who's known me ever since I was a baby. I met him on the street, and he asked me to go with him to visit his daughter. Oh, Orin, you pretend to love me. And yet you question me as if you suspected me, too.
No, I swear. Mother, please. Don't cry. I do love you, I do.
Orin, Vinny suspects me of having poisoned your father.
What? No. By God, if that's true, she ought to be put in an asylum.
She found some medicine I take to make me sleep, but she's so crazy, I know she thinks... Oh, Orin, I'm so afraid of her. Don't let her turn you against me. You're all I have in the world, dear.
Turn me against you. She can't be so crazy as to try that. But I honestly think you... Well, that about Father, it's all such damn nonsense. And as for her going to the police, don't you suppose I would prevent that for 100 reasons? The family's sake, my own sake, and Vinny's too, as well as yours, even if I knew.
Knew? Orin, you don't believe...
No. I only meant that no matter what you ever did, I love you better than anything else in the world.
Oh, Orin, you are my boy, my baby. I love you.
Mother, I could forgive anything. Anything in my mother. Except that other. That about Brant.
I swear to you.
If I thought that damn... By God, I'd show you then I haven't been taught to kill for nothing.
For God's sake, stop talking like that. You frighten me.
There, Mother. We won't ever talk about it again. We'll talk about something else. I want to tell you something. Did you really want me to come back?
What a foolish question, dear.
But your letters got farther and farther between, and they seemed so cold. It drove me crazy. I wanted to desert and run home, or else get killed. If you only knew how I longed to be here with you, like this. I used to have the most wonderful dreams about you. Have you ever read a book called Taipei, about the South Sea Islands?
Islands? Where there is peace?
Well, then you did read it.
No.
Someone loaned me the book. I read it and reread it. Until finally those islands came to mean everything that wasn't war. Everything that was peace, warmth, security. I used to dream I was there. And later on, all the time I was out of my head, I seemed really to be there. There was no one there but you and me. And yet I never saw you, that's the funny part. I only felt you all around me. The breaking of the waves was your voice. The sky was the same color as your eyes. The warm sand was like your skin. The whole island was you.
Oh, if only you'd never gone away. If only you hadn't let them take you from me.
But I've come back. Everything's all right now, isn't it?
Yes, I didn't mean that.
You're my only girl.
You're a big man now, aren't you? I can't believe it. It seems only yesterday I used to find you in your nightshirt hiding in the hall upstairs, on the chance that I'd come up and give you one more goodnight kiss. Do you remember?
And what a row there was when Father caught me. And do you remember how you used to let me brush your hair? And how I loved to? He hated my doing that, too. You still got the same beautiful hair, Mother. That hasn't changed. Oh, Mother, it's going to be wonderful from now on. We'll get Vinny to marry Peter, and then there'll be just you and I.
What do you want?
Aren't you coming to see Father, Orin?
All right, I'll come now.
Vinny? Come here. I don't want to shout across the room. Well, you can go ahead and tell Orin anything you wish. I've already told him, so you might as well save yourself the trouble. He said you must be insane. I told him how you lied about my trips to New York for revenge because you loved Adam yourself, so hadn't you better leave Orin out of it? You can't get him to go to the police for you. Even if you convinced him I poisoned your father, you couldn't. He doesn't want any more than you do such a public disgrace as a murder trial would be, for it would all come out, everything. Who Adam is, my adultery, your knowledge of it, and your love for Adam. Oh, believe me, I'll see to it that comes out if anything gets to a public trial. I'll show you as a daughter who desired her mother's lover and then had her mother hanged out of hatred and jealousy. Go on, try and convince Orin of my wickedness. He loves me. He hated his father. He's glad he's dead. For God's sake, leave Orin out of this. He's still sick. He's changed. All he thinks of is death. Don't tell him about Adam. He would kill him. I couldn't live then. I would kill myself. I've got to see Adam. I've got to warn him.
Christ. I won't have such thoughts. I'm a rotten swine to... Damn, Phineas, you must be crazy. Who are you? Another corpse. You and I have seen fields and hillsides sown with them, and they meant nothing. Nothing but a dirty joke life plays on life. How naturally death sits on you. Death becomes the Manons. You were always like the statue of some eminent dead man, sitting on a chair in a park or straddling a horse in a town square, looking over the head of life without a sign of recognition, cutting it dead for the impropriety of living. You never cared to know me in life. But I really think we might be friends now that you're dead.
Orin.
Damn it, don't sneak around like that. I'm jumpy enough without... What are you locking the door for?
I've got to talk to you, and I don't want to be interrupted. What made you say such things just then? I wouldn't believe you could have grown so callous to all feeling of
you
respect.
folks at home take death so solemnly. You'd as soon learned at the front that it's only a joke. You don't understand, Vinny. You've got to learn to mock or go crazy, can't you see? I didn't mean it in an unkind way. It simply struck me he looked so strangely familiar. The same familiar stranger I've never known. You know his nickname in the Army? Old Stick. Short for Stick in the Mud. Grant himself started it. He said Father was no good on an offensive, but he'd trust him to stick in the mud and hold a position till hell froze over.
When I think of how proud of you he was when he came home. He boasted you'd done one of the bravest things he'd seen in the war.
One of the bravest things he'd seen? That's too rich. I'll tell you about that heroic deed. It really began the night before when I sneaked through their lines. I was always volunteering for extra danger. I was so scared anybody would guess I was afraid. There was a thick mist, and it was so still you could hear the fog seeping into the ground. I met a Reb crawling toward our lines. His face drifted out across the mist toward mine. I shortened my sword and let him have the point of it under the ear. He stared at me with an idiotic look on his face as if he'd sat on a tack. And his eyes dimmed and went out.
Don't think of that now.
Before I'd gotten back, I had to kill another in the same way. It was like murdering the same man twice. I had a queer feeling that war meant murdering the same man over and over, and that in the end I would discover the man was myself. Their faces keep coming back in dreams, and they change to Father's face and to mine. What does that mean, Vinny?
I don't know. I've got to talk to you. For heaven's sake, forget the war. It's over now.
Not inside us who killed. The rest is all a joke. The next morning, I was in the trenches. This was in Petersburg. I hadn't slept. My head was queer. I thought what a joke it would be on the stupid generals like Father if everybody on both sides suddenly saw what a joke war was on them and laughed and shook hands. And I began to laugh and walked toward their line with my hand out. Of course, the joke was on me, and I got this wound in the head from my pains. I went mad. I wanted to kill and ran on, yelling. Then a lot of our fools went crazy, too, and followed me, and we captured a part of their lines we'd never dared tackle before. I'd acted without orders, of course, but Father decided it was a better policy to overlook that and let me become a hero. So do you wonder I laugh?
You were brave, and you know it. I'm proud of you, too.
All right, be proud, then. I'll fire away and let's get this over. But you're wasting your breath. I know what you're going to say. Mother warned me. My God, how can you think such things of Mother? What the hell's got into you? But I realize you're not yourself.
Has she succeeded in convincing you I'm out of my mind? Orin, look at me. In your heart, you know I'm the same. Your sister who loves you, Orin.
I didn't mean... I only think the shock of his death
I've never
is...
lied to you, have I? Even when we were little, you always knew I told you the truth, didn't you?
Yes, but...
Then you must believe I wouldn't lie to you now.
Well, no one is saying you would deliberately lie.
Even
It's
if
a
she has
question-
you so under her thumb again that you doubt my word, you can't doubt the absolute proof.
Now, never mind what you call proofs. I know about them already. Now listen here, if you think you're going to tell me a lot of crazy stuff about Mother, I warn you I won't listen.
If you don't, I'll go to the police.
Don't be a damn fool.
As a last resort, I will.
My God, you must be crazy.
They
even
won't
to
think
talk-
so.
Vinny, do you realize what it would mean?
Only too well. You and I, who are innocent, would suffer a worse punishment than the guilty. For we'd have to live on. It would mean that Father's memory and that of all the honorable man and dead would be dragged through a murder trial. But I'd rather suffer that than let the murder of our father go unpunished.
My God, do you actually believe...
Yes! I accuse her of murder. You see this? I found this right after Father died.
No, that's only some medicine she takes to make her
Father
sleep.
knew she'd poisoned him. He said she's guilty and...
Now, that's all your crazy imagination.
I swear by the body of our dead father I'm telling you the truth. Make Orin believe me, Father.
Here, give me that.
You're afraid it's true.
No. But I'm going to stop your damn... I'm a fool to pay any attention to you. The whole thing is too insane. I won't talk to a crazy woman. But by God, you look out, Vinny. You leave Mother alone.
Poor father. He thought the war had made a man of you, but you're not. You're still the spoiled crybaby she can make a fool of whenever she pleases.
That's enough out of you.
She warned me just now what to expect, Orin. She boasted you wouldn't believe me. And that even if you knew she'd murdered Father, you'd be glad because you hated him. Oh, for God's sake, here before him, tell me that isn't true at least.
Of course, I never said that. And I don't believe she did. But Mother means 1,000 times more to me than he ever did. I say that before him now as I would if he could hear me.
Then if I can't make you see your duty one way, I will another. If you won't help me punish her, I hope you're not such a coward that you're willing to let her lover escape.
Lover? Who do you mean?
I mean the man who plotted Father's murder with her, who must have got that poison for her. I mean the Captain Brandt I wrote you about.
You lie. She told me your rotten lies about following him to New York. That was Mr. Lamar she met.
So that's what she told you. As if I could mistake Lamar for Adam Brandt. What a fool you are, Orin. She kisses you and pretends she loves you, and all the time she'd forgotten you were ever alive. All she's thought of is this low lover of hers.
I won't
All she's thinking of right now is how she can use you to keep me from doing anything, so she'll get a chance to run off and marry him.
You lie.
She pets you, she plays the loving mother, and you're so blind you can't see through her. I tell you, she went to his room. I followed them upstairs. I heard her telling him, I love you, Adam. She was kissing him.
Damn you! Tell me you're lying.
You know I'm not lying. She's been going to New York on the excuse of visiting Grandfather Hamill, really to give herself
You
to Adam.
lie! Damn you! You dare say that about Mother. Now you got to prove it. You're not insane. You know what you're saying, so you prove it, or by God...
All I ask is a chance to prove it, but when I do, will you help me to punish Father's murderers?
I'll kill that bastard. But you haven't proved anything yet. It's only your word against hers. I don't believe you. You say Brandt is her lover. If that's true, I'll hate her. I'll know she murdered Father. Then I'll help you punish her, but you've got to prove it.
I can do it very soon. She's frightened out of her wits. She'll go to see Brandt the first chance she gets. We must give her that chance. Will you believe me when you find them together?
Yes. God damn him.
Shh. Be quiet. There's someone in the hall.
God, I can't face her now.
Don't let her know you suspect her. Pretend you think I'm out of my mind as she wanted you to.
Orin, what are you supposed to be? Why have you locked me out? Let me in!
Answer. Let her in.
All right. I'm coming.
Wait. Watch her when she sees this, if you want proof.
Open the door! Orin, I got so afraid when I found the door locked.
What made you afraid, Mother?
Why do you look at me like that? You look so like your father.
I'm his son, too. Remember that.
Orin.
I suppose you've been telling him your vile lies.
She's out of her head, Mother.
Didn't I tell you? I knew you'd see that. Did she tell you what she's planning to do? I know she's plotting something crazy. Did she threaten to go to the police? You won't let her do anything dreadful like that, will you?
No, Mother.
No. Remember, your father wouldn't want any scandal. He mustn't be worried, he said. He needs rest and peace.
Mother, for God's sake, be quiet. God. To think I hoped home would be an escape from death. I should never have come back to life from my island of peace. But that's lost now. You're my lost island, aren't you, Mother?
It was Brandt who got you this medicine to make you sleep, wasn't it?
No. No, no.
You're telling me it was. I knew it, but I wanted to make sure.
Ezra, don't let her harm Adam. I am the only guilty one. Don't let Orin...
Oh, they call me Hanging Johnny, away say I hang for money. Oh, hang, boys.
Stop that damn dirge and get out of here. Look lively now.
Aye. Aye, sir. I see you ain't got much ear for music. Good night.
Good night.
They say I hang my mother. Away,
Damn that chanty. Sad as death.
I hang my mother.
I have a foreboding I'll never take this ship to sea. She doesn't want me now. A coward, hiding behind a woman's skirts. The sea hates a coward. Who's there?
Adam?
Christine.
I got so frightened I didn't know which ship. Some drunken man came along singing.
I just got rid of him. Did the drunk see you?
No, I hid. Why have you got that pistol?
I was going to give him a fight for it if things went wrong. My nerves are gone from waiting alone here, not knowing anything but what I read in the papers, that he was dead. These past days have been hell.
If you knew what they've been for me.
There's something gone wrong. I can read it in your face. What is it, Christine?
Vinny knows. She came in the room when he was dying. He told her.
God! What is she going to do? Christine, how did you get away? She suspects you aren't going to your father's now. She followed you once before.
No, it's all right. This morning, Orin said his cousins, the Bradfords, had invited him and Vinny to visit them overnight at Blackridge, and he was taking Vinny with him. I've made him think that she's out of her head with grief, so he wouldn't listen to her.
He believes that?
Yes, he does now, but I don't know how long.
Uh-huh.
So I told him by all means to go. It gave me the chance I wanted to come to you. I can only stay a little while. We've got to plan. I came to warn you.
Shh! Come into the cabin. We're fools to be talking out here.
When he was dying, he pointed at me and told her I was guilty. And afterwards she found the poison.
For God's sake, Christine, why didn't you hide the poison?
I fainted before I could hide it. I planned it so carefully, but something made things happen.
I knew it. I had a feeling in my bones. It serves me right what has happened. And what is to happen? It wasn't that kind of revenge I'd sworn on my mother's body. I should have done as I wanted and fought with Ezra man and his 2 men fight for the love of a woman. I have my father's rotten coward blood in me, I think.
Oh, Adam, you make me feel so guilty.
I didn't mean to blame you, Christine. It's too late for regrets. We've got to think what to do.
Yes, I'm so terrified of Vinny. If she convinces Orin you're my lover. Oh, Adam, why can't we go away? Once we're out of her reach, she can't do anything.
Flying trades won't be sailing for a month or more. We can't get cargo as soon as the owners start.
Can't we sail on another ship as passengers to the east? Oh, Adam, it's the only thing we can do. If we don't get out of Vinny's reach right away, I know something horrible will happen.
I suppose it's the only way out for us now. The Atlantis is sailing on Friday for China. I'll arrange with her skipper to give us passage and keep his mouth shut. She sails at daybreak. You better meet me here Thursday night. And I'll write Clark and Dawson tonight. They'll have to find another skipper for the flying trade.
I feel so guilty. I've brought you nothing but misfortune.
You've brought me love. And the rest is only the price. And it's worth it 1,000,000 times.
I'm afraid I'm not much to boast about having now. I've grown old the past few days. I'm ugly. But I'll make myself beautiful again for you. I'll make up to you for everything. Try not to regret your ship too much, Adam.
Let's not talk of her anymore. I'll give up the sea. I think it's through with me now anyway. The sea hates a coward.
Don't talk like that. You have me, Adam. You have me. And we will be happy once we're safe on your blessed island. Strange, Orin was telling me of an island.
Aye. The Blessed Isles. Maybe we can still find happiness and forget. I can see them now, so close, and 1,000,000 miles away. Warm earth in the moonlight. Trade winds rustling the cocoa palms. Surf on the barrier reef singing a croon in your ears like a lullaby. There's peace and forgetfulness for us there if we can ever find those islands now.
We will find them. We will. Now I must go.
For the love of God, watch out for Vinny. If anything should happen to you...
Nothing will happen to me. But you must be on your guard in case Orin... Goodbye. I must go. I must. Oh, I feel so strange, So sad. As if I'll never see you again. Oh, Adam, tell me we're going to be happy. I can't bear this horrible feeling of despair.
Of course we'll be happy. Oh, come now, it's only a couple of days. We'll go by the main deck, it's shorter. I'll walk to the end of the wharf with you.
Then we don't have to say goodbye for a few minutes yet. Oh, thank God.
Let me go!
Shh, quiet. Quick, come to his cabin. He's going to the end of the wharf. That gives us a few minutes. You wanted proof. Well, are you satisfied now?
Yes. God damn him. Death is too good for him. He ought to be...
Orin, you promised not to lose your head. Remember, you've got to do everything exactly as we planned it, so there'll be no suspicion about us. There would be no justice.
You said all that before. Do you think I'm a fool? I'm not anxious to be hanged for that. I heard her asking him to kiss her. I heard her warn him against me. And my island, I told her about. She wants to go there with him. Damn you, why did you stop me? I'd have shot his guts out in front of her.
Outside, where the shot would be sure to be heard, we'd have been arrested. Then I'd have to tell the truth to save us. She'd be hanged. And even if we managed to get off, our lives would be ruined. The only person to come off lucky would be Brandt. He could die happy knowing he'd revenged himself on us more than he ever dared hope. Is that what you want?
No.
Then don't act like a fool again. Now come. Hide here in his stateroom. He'll come straight back in here. That's the time for you to come out.
You needn't tell me what to do. I've had a thorough training at this game. Thanks to you and Father.
And quick, go now. He won't be long.
I hear him.
So, it's goodbye to you, Flying Trades. And you were right. I wasn't man enough for you.
Is he dead?
Yes.
Don't stand there. Where's the chisel you brought? Smash open everything in his stateroom. We must make it look as though thieves killed him, remember? Take anything valuable. We can sink it overboard afterwards. Hurry! How could you love that vile old woman so? But you're dead. It's ended. May God find forgiveness for your sins. May the soul of our cousin, Adam Mannon, rest in peace.
Rest in hell, you mean? I pried open everything I could find.
Then come along. There's your pistol. Don't forget that.
We've got to go through his pockets to make everything look like a burglary. I'll sink these overboard from the dock along with what was in his stateroom.
Orin?
My God, he does look like Father.
No, come along.
This is like my dream. I've killed him before, over and over.
Orin!
You remember my telling you how the faces of the men I killed came back and changed to Father's face and finally became my own? He looks like me, too. Maybe I've committed suicide.
For God's sake, will you stop talking crazy and come along? Do you want us to be found here?
It's queer. It's a rotten, dirty joke on someone.
Here I am. Seth brought your note and I hurried right over.
I'm so glad you've come. I know I shouldn't have bothered you.
It's no bother at all, Mrs. Mannon.
I was feeling so terribly sad and nervous here. I let Hannah and Annie have the night off. I'm all alone. Let's sit out here. I can't bear it in the house.
I know you must miss him so much.
Please don't talk about. He's buried. He's gone.
He is at peace, Mrs. Mannon.
I was like you once. I believed in heaven. Now I know there's only hell.
You mustn't say that.
I'm not fit company for a young girl. You should have youth and beauty around you. I'm old and ugly and haunted by death. I can't let myself get ugly. I can't.
Now, you're only terribly worn out. You ought to try and sleep.
I don't believe there's such a thing on this earth as sleep. It's only in the earth one sleeps. One must feel so at peace at last, with all one's fears ended. Oh, good heavens, what a bore it must be for you listening to my gloomy thoughts. I honestly didn't ask you here to... I wanted to know if you or Peter had heard anything from Orin and Vinny.
Why, no. We haven't seen them since the funeral.
They seem to have deserted me. I can't imagine what's keeping them. They went to Blackridge to stay overnight at the Bradfords.
Well, then there's nothing to worry about. But I don't see how they could leave you alone just now.
I urged them to go. And afterwards, I thought it would be a good opportunity for me to go to New York to visit my father. He's sick, you know. But I found him so much better, I decided to come home again last night. I expected Orin and Vinny back this noon. Here it is night. There's still no sign of them. I must confess I'm worried and frightened. You can't know what it's like to stay all night alone in that house.
Would it help you if I stayed with you tonight? I mean, if they don't come?
Oh, would you? I can't tell you how grateful I'd be. You're so good.
But if I'm going to, I'll have to run home and tell Mother.
Yes, do. You won't be long, will you?
I'll be as quick as I possibly can.
She's met someone by the gate. Oh, why am I so afraid? Oh, God. I'm afraid to know.
Let me do the talking. I want to be the one to... Mother! Ah! So this time at least you're waiting to meet me when I come home.
Orin, what kept you?
We just met Hazel. She said you were terribly frightened at being alone here. That is strange when you have the memory of Father for company.
You stayed all this time at the Bradfords?
We didn't go to the Bradfords.
You didn't go to Blackridge?
We took the train there, but we decided to stay right on and go to Boston instead.
To Boston?
And in Boston we waited until the evening train got in. We had an idea you would take advantage of our being in Blackridge to be on it, and you were. And we followed you when you called on your lover in his cabin.
Orin, how dare you talk? Don't look at me like that. Tell me.
Your lover. Don't lie, Mother. You've lied enough. I was on deck listening. What would you have done if you had discovered me? Would you have gotten your lover to murder me, Mother? I heard you warning him against me, but your warning was no use.
What? Tell me!
I killed him.
Oh, I knew. Oh. No, Orin. You said you loved me. You'd protect me, protect your mother. You couldn't murder...
You could murder Father, couldn't you? Here, read that if you don't believe me. We got it in Boston to see whom the police would suspect. It's only a few lines. Brand wasn't important except to you. They think exactly what we planned. They should think that he was killed by waterfront thieves. Mother, don't. Why do you grieve for that servant's bastard? I know, he was the one who planned Father's murder. You couldn't have. He got you under his influence to revenge himself. He hypnotized you. How else could you ever have imagined you loved that low swine? How else could you ever have said the things... I heard you planning to go with him to the island I told you about. Our island. That was you and I. Mother, don't. I'll make you happy. We'll leave Vinny here and go away on a long voyage to the South Seas.
Orin!
Mother, why won't you speak to me? Will you always love him? Do you hate me now? Mother, answer me! Say you forgive me.
Orin, after all that's happened, are you becoming her crybaby again? Leave her alone. Go in the house. Do you hear me? March!
Why are the shutters still closed? Father's gone. We ought to let in the moonlight.
He paid the just penalty for his crime. You know it was justice. It was the only way true justice could be done. Mother, what are you going to do? You can live?
Live!
It is justice.
Oh, Shenandoah, long to hear you. Away, my rolling river.
It is justice. It is your justice, Father.
What's that? Vinny, Mother, shot herself. Father's pistol. Get a doctor. No. It's too late. She's dead. Why? Why did she, Vinny? I drove her to it. I wanted to torture her. She couldn't forgive me. Why did I have to boast about killing him? Why?
Be quiet, Orin.
Why didn't I let her believe burglars killed him? She wouldn't have hated me then. She would have forgotten him. She would have turned to me. I murdered her.
For God's sake, will you be quiet?
Let me go. I've got to find her. I've got to make her forgive me. But it's too late. She's dead. How can I ever get her to forgive me now?
Shh. You have me, haven't you? I love you. I'll help you forget.
Hey, Vinny, did you hear a shot?
I want you to go for Dr. Blake. Tell him Mother has killed herself in a fit of insane grief over Father's death. Will you remember to tell him that?
I'll tell him, Vinny. Anything you say.